We're joined by Kristen Michael, Assistant Superintendent of Financial Services at FCPS. Hi, Kristen.
Hi. Thank you for having me today.
Thanks so much for coming in. So why don't we get right to the budget?
Sure.
Okay. Superintendent Garza recently released her FY2016 proposed budget of $2.6 billion, which is, I believe, 2.6% over the approved budget for FY2015, if I got that right. Okay. So what are the major cost drivers in this proposal?
Sure. This budget is really a basic budget that's focused on our priorities. So when you look at the cost drivers for the 16 budget, you'll see enrollment increases and student demographic changes. So we continue to see growth in enrollment. We're also continuing to see changes in student demographics that require additional services. We have compensation increases for our employees, which is a key priority. We have a step increase in this budget, as well as a 1% market scale adjustment. And then we have a few key programmatic increases. So the cost of full day Mondays, as well as later high school start times, and also very importantly, funding to address large class sizes at the elementary level, which has really been a concern that we want to address.
Okay. And there have been many budget cuts in the past years, particularly in the current budget year. So understandably, I think a lot of people are concerned about what's going to happen for FY 2016. Can you give us a sense of what the reductions will be or what's being proposed?
Sure, absolutely. This current school year, we cut nearly $100 million in budget cuts that were really substantial. And we focused on taking the greatest percentage of cuts from central administration, but we still needed to increase class size. So understandably, people are very concerned about budget reductions. When we look at the budget for next year, we do have $55 million in budget reductions included, but none of them include positions and they don't have impacts on schools. So we have reductions in our what we call base savings, which are savings from when employees turn over. And we also went through all of our centrally managed accounts, all the accounts that departments oversee, and really looked for any places we could make reductions. So in total, there are about $55 million in reductions in our FY16 budget proposal.
Okay. And I believe it's over 70% of FCPS revenue that comes from the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors. So what are you seeking from them for this coming year?
Sure. So FCPS is very reliant on the county in terms of funding. As compared to other jurisdictions in Virginia, we require a much larger percentage of our budget from our local government because the state gives out funding to school districts based on their local ability to pay. So that makes FCPS much more reliant on county funding. So this year our budget proposal is very, very near the county's budget guidance. In fact, the nearest we've been in a very, very long time. So the county's budget guidance was 3% plus the cost of full day Mondays, which is it totals about 3.2% in an increase in county funding. We've requested 3.99%, which is just $14 million more than the guidance that they provided to us, right? And it's really important we have $55 million in reductions, and our expenditure increases are truly focused on those key priorities. So we are really very feeling positive about being so close to that budget guidance.
Okay. And what was the biggest challenge for you in preparing this budget?
The biggest challenge in preparing this budget is we have a lot of needs. We have a lot of unfunded needs when we look at things like class size. Compensation, which is a priority to us, is very key. We've lost ground in terms of our competitiveness in this region, so that's something we're really paying attention to. And with class size and compensation, balancing that whole budget, looking at a really realistic and balanced and responsible request of funding from the county really made this budget a challenge in terms of pulling it all together. But the superintendent was very successful in a really balanced and responsible budget.
Great. And so then what's next in the process?
Sure. The next steps in the budget process is that we have public hearings, and then the school board is going to adopt our advertised budget in early February, and that gets sent to the county government in terms of a request for funding. From there, we still wait and see what funding we get from the county and the state, and then this budget, after more public hearings and public input, is going to be adopted in late May, and that's the budget for next school year.
Okay. And what about parents, employees, or members of the community? If they want to participate in the process in some way, how can they be involved?
Sure. We encourage participation. The input we get from our stakeholders is really key and been very important to our budget process. So they can participate in public hearings. They can visit our website that will give them how to sign up for those public hearings. We also have a tips to improve programs and services, both phone number and email address, so they can send us their budget feedback as well. And we really welcome all that feedback and look forward to hearing from all of our stakeholders.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much for coming in,
Thank
Kristen.
you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks.